Are we headed to another recession? Is this 2008 again? Everything's crashing. It feels very scary. I'm Lindsey Johnson with Watson Realty, and today on the Lindsey Johnson Show, I want to discuss the economy, how the stock market is affecting home prices, and how this is not a repeat of 2008. Okay, today I've got a lot to cover. I'm going to jump right into it. I'm just going to give you a heads up right now that there's going to be a ton of data coming your way. I've got some slides that I'll be showing, and I'm just going to try to break this down for you because I think in this time of uncertainty and of this time of like crazy news and headlines and fear, and it's all justified because this is unprecedented and nobody really knows what's happening. But amidst all that, I'd really like to be the source of some actual facts for you, for your loved ones, to hopefully give you an anchor in this uncertain time and to just give you some information that you can, do with what you like. So let's discuss the big R word that keeps getting thrown around as we enter this economic recession. Some people are referencing it as a recession, some aren't. But what I want to pop up here is a slide that talks about the last 5 recessions. Because what I want you to just, if you get nothing else from this, is just to remember, a recession does not equal a housing crisis. The freshest thing in our minds is 2008, where that recession was actually caused by a crumbling housing market. This is not that. This graph that I'm going to have up here shows the last 5 recessions, and what you can see is the fact that of the last 5 recessions, in 3 of them, housing prices actually increased. 2008 was due to a crumbling mortgage and housing market, but what you'll see is other recessions that have been triggered by different reasons, generally housing prices increase because people pull their money out of the stock market and they put it in a safer investment. Oftentimes that's real estate. I know for myself and several of my colleagues who are realtors around the country, we've been seeing this with customers coming to us with money that they've cashed out from the stock market, wanting a place to put it, whether it be for an investment or for their own personal home. There is some of that happening throughout the country. The next slide that I'm going to show is the Goldman Sachs GDP, Gross Domestic Product forecast. And this is where I want you to buckle up because for this quarter, we are going to be on a wild ride. So let's buckle up and get through it because you see right here, huge drop. But what's encouraging is this is a V-shaped line graph. And what the V-shape means is we're going to dive down far. But as soon as life returns to normal, things are going to skyrocket, and they're going to skyrocket quickly. It was actually David at Keeping Current Matters who phrased it this way, and I thought it was such a great analogy. He said, 2008 was like a tornado. It just leveled everything overnight, and it took a really long time to rebuild. This economic slowdown is more like a heavy snowstorm. Now, I live in Florida, so I have to kind of wrap my head around this a little bit, but for those of you up north, you get a better idea of what this means. Heavy snowstorm, it comes in, it weighs everything down, but what happens is the snow eventually melts and life returns to normal pretty quickly. And that's what we're going to be seeing here. Once we get through this storm and we're ready to safely go back to work and go back to school and get out of our houses and go to restaurants again and go to sporting events, we're going to see a huge demand and increase pretty quickly. So as long as we can weather this uncertainty for now, just know that this is not going to be a 5-6 year recovery. It's going to be a pretty quick recovery. Which brings me to the analogy of the .com 9/11 crash. This, like that snowstorm, this is much more similar to 9/11 and the events of those days than this is to 2008. The economy is shut down because of a global pandemic. It's not shut down because of any sort of housing crisis. In fact, leading up to March this year in real estate, we were seeing more sales than we had seen in over a decade. It was shaping up to be a really incredible year for real estate. The reason the brakes have been put on that is not because of housing like in 2008, but more because of an event where people like 9/11 are going into their houses. Instead of being afraid of a terrorist attack, now they're afraid of being sick. Now, don't get me wrong, these are all good reasons to be staying home, and that's what me and my family are doing. But the recovery for something like that's a lot faster because the problem is not related to housing, is not related to specific economic issues. So one thing that you might find really helpful is this graph right here, which is PwC.com did a survey recently, just I think a couple weeks ago, of 50 Fortune 1000 companies, and they asked them this question. They said, if COVID-19 were to end today, how long would it take you to get back to business as usual? What's really encouraging is that 90% of those interviewed said it would take 1 to 3 months to get back to business as usual. Of that 90%, 66% said it would take them 1 month. So again, we're talking months of recovery, not years. And what is the point of all this? The point of all of this is just to give you some real information. Trust your intelligence that you're going to do with it what works best for you and your family, but just to know that right now it's uncertain. Right now it's super scary. And right now we don't really know what the near future holds. But just to remember that this is not 2008, that home prices actually tend to increase when stock market falls. And just to keep in mind this quote from Steve Harney, who actually is the founder of Keeping Current Matters. Again, I'll say it again. Great information, fact-based, super amazing website to get plugged into. But here's what Steve Harney said. He said, "The reality is that the economic reports released over the next few weeks will look horrifying because the pause button has been hit on the U.S. economy. Remember, home sales for the first 2 months of 2020 were the best they have been since 2007. Then the world stopped. Once things get back to normal, we will be fine. Don't let the upcoming headlines rattle you." So big thanks to Steve and David at Keeping Current Matters. I'm Lindsey Johnson with Watson Realty in Gainesville, Florida. I hope this has proven to be helpful. If you have any questions about this, if you are just wondering what this all means for you and your family, I'm here to help. Please feel free to drop a comment below or send me a message and let me know if you've got any questions. I'm happy to do virtual meetings anytime, and I'll be home. So here's hoping you have a safe and wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.